I'm not gonna lie to y'all. This is probably the one song that I did not want to talk about. S.T.I.G. S.T.I.G, which is an acronym for Seek the Impossible Goals. This song is literally the living embodiment of the bane of my existence. This song is the most annoying song I ever did. And it's so funny because when people tell me that this song is their favorite song, I literally get upset. I almost cringe. It's like, why? Not because I don't love the song. I absolutely love the song. I love what the song ended up being. It just reminds me of the tremendous evil process that I had to go through creating this song. People have no idea the hell that this song put me through. You know what I'm saying? The song that you know now, which is called S.T.I.G, is actually like the 11th or 12th version of the song. There's so many versions of this song because there's so many times that I try to make this song and it just never could come together the way I wanted it to come together, right? So it's kind of ironic because it's called Seek the Impossible Goal. The impossible goal was making this song. That's what the impossible goal was for this particular song. When I initially came up with the thought process of S.T.I.G, it actually it wasn't too far after No Games. So what happened is after making No Games and releasing No Games, that's when I started to actually start having a thought process of maybe I could put a project together because, you know, No Games was doing well. You know, everyone was really, you know, liking it and things like that. So I was thinking, you know, maybe I could put together an EP. Maybe I could put together, you know, 4 or 5 tracks, put together something as a body of work that people will listen to. Now, it wasn't, again, the journey. It wasn't an album yet. There was no idea of an album yet. But I was beginning to entertain the idea of an EP. You know, I have, you know, just a couple of singles put together. My Move, No Games. I'll maybe do 2 more singles and then put them together and kind of just make an EP, right? Now, when this idea came to mind, that's when I really just started, you know, making an abundance of beats. You know, I just started making beats left and right and everything like that. And then one day I had an idea of S.T.I.G, you know, Seek the Impossible Goals. S.T.I.G. I wanted something that kind of gave like a bounce to it, something that was Southern, obviously, you know, play on words, you know what I'm saying? Like, it's something simple to say, but it actually had a deep, cool meaning. And that's where Seek the Impossible Goal came from. So the idea came first for S.T.I.G. So now at this point, it was just a matter of making the beat and making the beat that would capture the essence of what I was trying to say in the song, right? So the beat making process became a living hell because I just couldn't make the right beat for the song. I kept making beats after beats. Some beats were too playful. Some beats were too aggressive. It's just every version of the beat that I made just didn't capture it, right? Then eventually I got to this one version, which was, I think the 9th version of the beat, right? And, you know, I recorded on it and everything like that. I'm not even going to show you guys the 9th version. So if you think that I'm going to show you, no, I'm not going to show you the 9th version. The reason I'm not going to show you the 9th version because I cringe every time I listen to it. The reason I cringe is because there was a bass line that I had on it. I could not find the right bass for this beat. I kept trying I went through, no exaggeration, probably like 300 beats, 300 different basses, and I could not find the right bass beat to go with the rest of the beat to make it sound like the way I heard it sounding in my head. So Had tons of versions of it, tons of versions of it. And once I got to the ninth one, I recorded my verse to it. And I sent it to one of my best friends, Danny, and he listened to it, he loved it, and I was like, all right, cool, we're on to something. We're on our way. We're here. Like what Chief Keef, on our way. You know what I'm saying? I'm on my way. I'm almost there. So as I'm continuing to listen to it, that bass line still wasn't sitting well with me. And I felt like I was almost to a point of settling, which I don't typically do with anything, but this beat was really a problem. So I was like, you know what? I'm at the ninth beat right at this point. I'm not going to start over. I'm not going to do this again. So I'm about to just scratch this whole song. Now, what ended up happening was an artist who came in, who I was working with, I was making music with at the time, I guess he came across my page and he listened to No Games and he really liked No Games. And he was like, he really wanted to be on No Games. I'm like, listen, No Games is already out. You know what I'm saying? It's just 2 verses. I never had any intentions for it to have 3 verses anyway. It was really just the 2 verses and that's it. But he was like, man, I really want to do a song with you, really want to do a song with you. And I did, and now the guy who I was speaking to, at this point in time, he wasn't a believer, he wasn't Christian or anything. He believed in a higher power. He believed there was a God out there, but he just really wanted to do a song with me, and it was almost like one of those things is like, I could tell that it was almost like a redemption thing for him. You know what I'm saying? So I was just like, I got to do this. You know what I'm saying? I got to do this. We got to do this. We got to do this. I love him to death. Right. So I was like, No Games is done. So we can't do No Games. But I got this other song that I'm working on called S.T.I.G, Seek the Impossible Goal. So I could send that out to you and you tell me how you feel about it. Right. So I sent it out to him. He absolutely loved it. I was like, all right, cool. Problem solved. He's going to hop on S.T.I.G and that's that. Right? Now, his name is Sid Savage. Sid Savage is actually the second verse on the track. Now, Sid Savage is probably one of the most like interesting artists that I have ever ran across because I kid you not, when he came in and recorded, the very take that you hear is the only take he did. He did that in one take. When I tell you gifted, there is no other way to describe gifted than that right there. Like, he did it flawlessly. And it was amazing. It was great. I absolutely loved it. And I mean, it took us 3 minutes to do. He literally just did his verse and that was it. We of course did the ad-libs and everything like that, but he did his entire verse in one take. And I was just so impressed by it. And I loved it so much. At this point, I was like, okay, this song has to be a song now because he did a dope verse to it. You know what I'm saying? And I like my verse as well. The only thing I really have an issue with is the bass line. So I guess I'll just leave it as is. He likes it. Danny liked it, and Danny was sending me videos of dancing to it and stuff like this. And I was just like, all right, you know what? Maybe it's just not for me. Maybe, it's just for the world. So be it. Now, what ends up happening is as I'm, making other songs and everything like that, I still couldn't get past that bass line. So I was like, listen, man, I can't do this. I can't make this song. Like, this song, it's just, I'm not going to be all right with this bass line. This bass line is the bane of my existence. And until we rectify this situation, I just cannot see myself doing this song. I can't do it. I cannot do it because this bass line is stupid. I do not like this bass line. So I eventually came across this beat that I found online that was it was simple. It was dope, but it was simple. And I could tell it needed more to it. So I was just like, maybe this could work. So I started, I spit my verse to it and I was like, oh my gosh, this sounds awesome. So I was like, this is it. This is what I'm going to do. So I ended up purchasing the beat from the producer, letting the producer know that, listen, I'm going to add some more stuff to this. So we're going to have to split this producer credit because this is not what it's going. So I ended up taking some stuff out, putting some, keeping some things. and things like that. And the beat you hear today on Stig, that's a combination of the beat that I bought online plus the changes that I made to it from my producer standpoint, right? So that's it. The original version of it, or the ninth version of the original, so to speak, I'm never gonna let you guys hear it. It's never coming out, and you guys probably never gonna hear. The only person who has a copy of it is Danny, and I'm still trying to find out a way to get that from him so that it never releases to the world, But he absolutely loves it to this day. I refuse to hear. I refuse to listen to it, and if I ever hear it again, I'm probably gonna burn the machine that is playing on because I just couldn't get past that, And of course, it's not about seeking perfection, but at the same time, once it's released to the world, once it's out there, there's no taking it back. And I knew that no matter what, if I ever released it, I was never going to be satisfied with it. And to this day, I'm glad that I did what I did, because the version that I have now, the version that you guys have heard, I absolutely love. It's perfect. It's exactly what I envisioned for it. It sounds perfect. It sounds awesome. The features are amazing on there. The one before just wasn't ever gonna give me that feeling. So that's the funny part about Stig. If you tell me you like Stig, just know in the back of my mind, I'm like, you know what I'm saying? Because I know the hell that song actually put me through. Now, as far as the third verse, the interesting story about the third verse. The third verse is from my boy Nico Merck. Now, Nico is a dope artist. He's a Christian artist as well. He's in New York. Shout out to Nico Merck. All right. Nico, at the time, I was like, I need a third verse. I kind of want 3 verses for this song. I sent it out to him. He absolutely loved it. So he actually wrote his verse to it and everything like that. And that's where the 3 verses. The funny part about Nico is Nico had never heard any other version than the final version of it. So if Nico's watching this, yes, there was multiple versions of the song. You just got the final version. Since, however, had recorded on the version prior to the version that's now, and Danny and myself are the only one who have any previous versions of that. So Sid was literally the most annoying song, and there's not really much that to show you as far as beat wise, because there were so many different versions of them. It'll take me all day to go through, the entire process of going from one beat to the next, to the next, to the that deserves maybe a 2-hour video on its own, but it was an absolute mess. I'm just glad it turned out the way it turned out. But what I did wanted to show you guys is some more of the recording side of when it came to making music. And I wanted to show you some things that I did when it came to Stig as far as the recording side of it. So when it came to Stig, as far as recording it, it was really, really fun because, outside of the verse, obviously we have all the background stuff. We have all the conversations and everything like that. All of these ad-libs and stuff is, again, things that, I was just a natural at, so it was fun. But when it came down to doing the actual hook, I was kind of stuck on it. I was like, I don't know what I want to do for the hook. So the first thing I came up with for the hook was the simple part of it. This part right here. All I do is All I do is Now, that part of it, I actually had that going twice. So, or I guess 4 times. All I do is Stig, and then again. All I do is Stig, and then again, and then again. It went 4 times. And then I was like, that's so repetitive. I cannot do that. I don't want to do that. It sounds so repetitive. I don't like how that sounds. I need to come up with something else. Maybe come up with a different hook. So I started, just writing, and then I came up with this part, which wasn't actually the part. It was actually going to be the new hook, and that was this part right here. All I do is seek the impossible goal, take the impossible road, hit the impossible feat, never believe in defeat. But get out of my way, ain't got no time to delay. I got something for the sake, nothing will stop me. All I do is... Now that's that green part, right? So that was the second hook that I actually thought of the song, and I really liked that. I was like, man, that's cool as well. talking to Sid, since, obviously he was he was on there before the hook was even on there. He was just like, man, I really do like the repetitive Stig part. I was like, man, well, I really like the other part. You know what I'm saying? So, I hit Danny up, and Danny was kind of like, I like the Stig part too. I was like, are you serious? Like, so I'm on an island. So I'm the only one who just wants something different. So what I ended up doing, I was like, wait, hold on. What if I just do the Stig for the first part and then bring in the second part? And that's what I ended up doing. And then on top of that, I ended up adding those violins to the second part of it to kind of bring the second part to life, which is why we get this afterwards. We get the first part here, which is the pink, and then the green part is the second part, but you'll literally hear the violins come in with the green part. So it goes. All I do is Stig, 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 Stig. All I do is Stig, 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 Stig. All I do is seek the impossible goal, take the impossible road, hit the impossible feat, never believe in defeat. Buddy, get out of my way, ain't got no time to delay. I got something for the sake, nothing will stop me. All I do is Stig. You see what I'm saying? So that is what ended up being the hook. Even though, that wasn't the plan. I was about to replace the other one entirely, but that's literally how it came about. I just added those violins to it, and then it just made it work. It ended up working. And, I'm thankful for it, because after listening to it, a few times after, having both parts to it, I was like, yo, this is actually dope. It actually worked, so that's what it ended up being. But just this whole song as a whole was the most challenging song on the entire project. You know what I'm saying? And it's funny because a lot of people really like this song, and it's just, a lot of people have no idea how much hell this song gave me. It just was an absolute mess. And I'm never gonna forget it for it, because it's one of those things. It's just like, it built my stamina when it came to, getting a song done, or getting a song to the point that you want it right. Like I said, I'm not necessarily a perfectionist, but if I'm not happy with something, I'm going to continue to work on it until I at least get to the point that I'm happy with it. And I'm glad Stig ended up the way it ended up, even though it was a lot to deal with, so that's what I have for Stig. Now, one thing I also wanted to talk about when it just came to, the whole making of this song is, unfortunately, S.T.I.G isn't here with us anymore, and in respect to his family, I won't get into details and everything like that, but I just wanted to give a moment to just say to anybody who's watching this who hasn't released music, or who's never, put out a song or anything like that, don't wait. Don't wait, because you never know what tomorrow holds. You never know what's in store for you for the future. You know what I'm saying? And you releasing music, especially when it's your purpose to release music, is probably one of the most rewarding, fulfilling things to do, especially when you know that your purpose is in music. So I say all of that to say, don't waste any time. Get into a studio, find a studio, record something, get it out there, even if it's just for your own ears. Just head to the studio, record something that you really like. If you're just a guitarist, or just, a pianist, or you just want to record something on an instrument and just make a song, do it. I urge you to do it, because again, you never know what tomorrow may hold. And unfortunately for my late dear friend S.T.I.G, he never really got a chance to get all his music out. He had tons of music. He never really got a chance to get all of it out before God called him home. So I just hope that if you're watching this video and you are holding or sitting on some music, or sitting on the urge to make music, or have, some ideal for a song in your head, please do whatever you can to get that out. Because like I said, there is no greater joy in the world to make music, especially when you know that that's your purpose, especially when you know that's something that you want to do. Even if it's a bucket list thing, just do it. It's absolutely fun. You're gonna have the time of your life doing it. I absolutely had the time of my life making music, which is why I still make music. You know what I'm saying? So I urge you guys, go out there, make some music and have fun with it. But getting back to S.T.I.G, yeah, that's pretty much it. S.T.I.G was very, very fun to make in the sense of challenging, you know, because things that are challenging can be fun. But at the end of the day, I'm very happy what it ended up with. I'm very happy what it turned into, you know what I'm saying? Even though I went through all of those process, I'm glad it actually ended up on the album and it ended up being a song, and a really great song, you know? So that's pretty much S.T.I.G.
All I do is S.T.I.G, 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 S.T.I.G. All I do is S.T.I.G.